Hi, this is John Howley for the Legal Side Simplified. We're talking today about a disturbing case out of the state of Texas. A black man was sentenced to death after an expert witness told the jury that he was more likely to be dangerous in the future because he was black. And that's not the most disturbing part of this case. Dwayne Buck was convicted of murder in Texas. At the penalty phase of his trial, the jury had to decide between life in prison or the death penalty. They could impose the death penalty only if they found that there was a probability that Buck would commit acts of violence in the future that would be a threat to society. Now, Buck's own lawyer put on an expert witness who testified that he considered 7 statistical factors, and one of those factors was the fact that Buck was black. And this expert testified that being black, quote, is known to predict future dangerousness. Predict. He also testified that the race factor, being black, increases future dangerousness. The jury sentenced Buck to death, and Buck challenged his death sentence on a number of grounds, including on the ground that he was denied effective assistance of counsel. The Texas Trial Court, the Texas Appellate Courts, the Federal District Court in Texas, the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Fifth Circuit, which covers Texas, all rejected his argument and upheld the death sentence. But in February 2017, the U.S. Supreme Court disagreed. Chief Justice Roberts wrote that it is patently unconstitutional for the state to argue that anyone is more dangerous because they're black. He also wrote that no competent defense lawyer would introduce such evidence in his client's trial. And in response to arguments that the error was harmless because there was other evidence to support the death sentence, Chief Justice Roberts wrote that racial stereotypes can be toxic, and, quote, some toxins can be deadly in small doses. But the decision was not unanimous. Justice Thomas, joined by Justice Alito, actually called the ineffective assistance argument, quote, indisputably meritless. So I have a question for you. Should we be satisfied that 6 justices of the U.S. Supreme Court found that it was unconstitutional and ineffective assistance of counsel to use race in order to get a death sentence? Or should we be horrified that in the 21st century, all of those state and federal judges, including 2 justices of the U.S. Supreme Court, thought it was okay for someone to argue that a man should get the death sentence because he's black? What do you think? This is John Howley for the Legal Side Simplified. I'll be back soon.